Hey everybody, Jed Johnson from dieselcrew.com. Make sure to subscribe and check out the website. Today here on my channel, you're going to meet my Blobs. Let's do it. Blob is a half 100-pound York style dumbbell. So I've got all of my half 100s here, plus I've got the ones that are replicas of those. Alright, let's check these out. Right here is the first ever Blob that I owned. It's what's called a next generation Blob, and it's actually the third style of Blob that was created by York Barbell. I bought this from Rick Walker for like 40 or 60 bucks, and now you spend double that. So the way that you can tell that it's a next gen is if you turn it over on the York side. This is the number side, but if you turn it over on the York side, you'll see no print. You won't ever see print on the number side, so you can't really use the number side for the indicator. But the main thing is on the next gen Blobs, they're a little bit easier to lift because the thumb side is much straighter and you don't have as much of a bulge on either side. Okay, so that's the first one that I got from Rick Walker in 2003. These next two I got in 2004, and these are from the same exact dumbbell. So this is next gen. Okay, so it's a little bit narrower, a little bit easier to lift because the thumb side is straighter, the finger side is a little bit narrower compared to the original style. But remember, we talked earlier about the underside of the York side not having a stamp. Okay, so you can see here, here's the York side, and you have USA, so that means it's next gen. Okay, the next one you're going to see is a Fatman Blob. But this one I bought right at the York Barbell store in 2004. I believe it was May or June. And shortly after that, they quit producing this model of dumbbell. So in hindsight, I wish I would have picked up like 3 or 4. But they really didn't have that many left when I was there. In fact, one of the interesting things is they said they had only like 1 or 2 in stock, and some of them were being shipped out or something like that, but I actually saw one sitting on the floor that I didn't pick up that probably could have been mine as well. But these are next gen Blobs, and they're actually from the same dumbbell. Next we have a Fatman Blob, and this one, to be truthful, is not actually my Blob. This is one that I'm borrowing from a fellow out in Missouri named Josh Dale. And you can see it is the York side, so now when we turn this one over, there's no stamp. Okay, so that's the difference. When you're trying to decide whether yours is a next gen or Fatman style, then that is your primary indicator. And what you'll see when you try to lift these is the flatter side, which we call the thumb side, is a little bit more bowed. The finger side, which is actually where the handle used to be, here you can see where the handle was cut off, that bulges quite a bit more. So you can kind of get a comparison between that one, which is the next gen, and this one, which is the Fatman. And they're quite a bit more difficult to lift up. As I cover in my ebook, Lift the Blob, the best way to put your thumb on there is to have your thumb on the non-handle side and your finger on the side that used to have the handle on it. That's the Fatman Blob. And I've got magnets on some of these right now because I've been training them hard, adding weight. So those magnets are pretty strong. They hold extra weight pretty well. And I've been going for max lifts and holds for time. This next piece is a Fatman Blob replica. I bought this from a guy named Chris in Maryland. It's a really nice piece. They were cast from Fatman Blobs, so they have the same similar contours, but they actually ended up bigger, so they're tougher to lift than most Fatman Blobs. And they actually have a flat spot on the bottom which allows them to stay in place, so that's pretty cool. Fairly rare. They're not being produced anymore. The guy just couldn't turn them around quick enough or whatever, so he kind of just decided to stop those. There are a few out there, maybe 10 or 20 that are out there, and some of them ended up having some major flaws to them. Like mine turned out really, really nice, but I saw one that had a big flat spot right here, and if you lifted it with your thumb on that spot, it was really, really hard to lift. A couple other really good, strong blob lifters, Dave Thornton and Chad Woodall, tried it, and they could not lift it by the top. They eventually flipped it over and pinched it by the bottom, which made it a lot easier, and they could lift it, but no one was able to lift it from the top side where it had that big flaw in it. So that's one that I'd love to get my hands on again sometime soon down the road to have another go at.